Hello and welcome. Here we are. I think this is day number 32. So, yeah, I tend to be very flittery and I like to try all the things. So, sticking with this one thing, but like a bunch of things, too many things, which is why I'm a little bit late this morning because been having I had Lyme disease. I got infected with Lyme disease years ago from a tick. It's a true thing. And every now and then it flares up if I get overstressed. And I try not to do that. But I have let myself get overstressed this last week. I think the Tulsa trip and Stoker's coming up and all the deadlines I have and all these things that I want to do kind of piled up. And so I keep getting these headaches, which I did test myself. It's not COVID. But yeah, I think it's just the Lyme disease. Well, and I figured out that because I turn my head and my brainstem, I guess, swells up or something. But anyways, that's always my sign that, oh, I'm getting too stressed. When I turn my head, my vision wants to black out. Good time to relax. But today, so anyways, getting on here, I was like, I'm just gonna, it's the noon hour. I promise you I will be here the noon hour, during the noon hour. But today I'm going to talk about the HWA Newsletter, which is only available for HWA members, which is the Horror Writers Association. If you do write dark fiction or poetry or just are a huge fan of it, I really suggest joining the HWA. It is a fantastic resource. There is so much going on in the HWA to support the genre of horror and dark fiction and poetry, as well as it's just a great community. I will say by joining the HWA 5-6 years ago, it was the best thing I ever did for my career as a horror writer. So that link is in the description. If you want to join, if you're watching this on Twitter or Twitch, you're going to have to go to my YouTube page to find it. Or you can go to AngelaYurikoSmith.com or AngelaYSmith.com, and you should be able to find the links to this. This is me trying to remember if I have the links to this or not, but I will do that. But anyways, the newsletter. It is a fantastic resource, and the team that puts it together is amazing. And I will tell you who they are in just a few minutes, but I just want to run down some of the things that are in this newsletter. The first is, and even members, you may not be aware that all of this is here. I actually wasn't until I started picking through the newsletter to do a review on it every month. There's like a huge ton of ways to promote yourself in this. So let's start with Cathy. We often know her as Cathy, but Catherine Tasik. She talks about her writing in here, like the thing that she's doing, which really sounds like fun. She's just doing a bunch of like starts, like the beginning of a story, and then she's piling them all up, and then she's going to go through them when she's done and just see what she feels like writing and then finish those starts, which I thought was really cool. She mentions in this column piece of hers that she started that, oh, here it is. Check out the editorial in the February issue of the HWA newsletter. And she kind of gets more into what she's doing there with these story starts. But I thought it was a really cool idea. And I'm going to go back to February and look that up because I think I missed that. She also calls out for photos and short write-ups for where we work, basically taking a photo of your office, wherever you do your best writing. Could be a coffee shop, could be a park or a library. But she just wants to have a couple paragraphs about that. That's in this paragraph here. A couple paragraphs about your environment, your work environment, and how it inspires you, and, photos of it so that she can share that, which I thought was kind of cool. It means I have to clean my office. I have tons of paper. This is, if you want to know where I work, this is what is in front of me at all times. This is actually half the stack. I'm shaking it free. This is, otherwise my office is pretty neat, but this is the things that I want to do. And then there's always these weird, odd things on here, like hot soda that I stole, which that is my confession on Instagram yesterday. Washi tape and sprout screens and lots of pins and selenite and of course some shisa. Whoops, shisa. But anyways, we got off track there. Oh, and unicorn slime. These are the things on my desk. But anyway, so take pictures, talk about these things, and send them to Cathy. And all of that information, if you remember, all of that information is in her column. She's got a no boundaries column coming up where she wants to talk about other things that you're doing that are creative. Like I do pottery on the side to relax. There's going to be 2 new columns coming up. Rena Mason is retiring her travel column, which is going to be really sad because that's a beautiful column that I've enjoyed keeping up with. Photos for the Sinister slideshow. I mean, honestly, I could run down all this, but there is a ton of opportunities in here for you to share yourself as an author if you're an HWA member. So make sure you check that out. The deadline is always the 15th of the month to send all that in. And then there's the free promotion. You can see here highlighted, free, 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 always free. So then let's talk about what else is in here. From the Trenches is a good one. That is where the board of trustees, each trustee takes a month. I think I had April, and we write about something, but this was really cool. This is from Brian Matthews, who has been putting together StokerCon 2022, which is an enormous, huge job. And he talks about all the different things that are going to be coming up. It's not really a sneak peek because you can just go look at the schedule and see what's coming, but it's really neat to see the background of what's going on with it. And I mean, I think we all know how much tremendous work goes into this, but also it's really kind of good to just see that, to see how much tremendous work. So that's a really good one. We have new social media, Willow Dawn Becker, new social media person. So you can get to know her. The specialty awards are in here, which is Joe Fletcher and Nancy Holder, and oh, cool, Koji Suzuki. That is so cool. I actually did not read this part, but I am going to go back and read this. I love his work. And then we go up here. An ad. Holistic horror is a new thing. It's the HWA's mental health initiative that was started. I know Lee Murray was part of that, and I'm on that committee, but I haven't really been doing a lot of the organizing of it. Fortunately, I'm just there to put my 2 cents in every now and then. And I think Dave Jeffrey is the other person, but I believe it was Lee Murray that just kind of started this whole idea. And we are going to be putting together Of Horror and Hope. There's already a bunch of submissions, but it's a poem or flash fiction piece, and this is paid very generously. And it's just a reflection of horror, writing, mental health, and hope. And yep, pays $5 a piece. And yeah, that'll be online and that'll be in an ebook. So that's kind of cool. And all of that information is in your Horror Writers Association newsletter this month. Call for submissions for the HWA Poetry Showcase. I'm not going to share that because that is over as of yesterday. Yep. So we're getting ready to tabulate that up. And with my fellow judges, because I'm the editor for that, the HWA Poetry Showcase, I'm going to be going with my fellow judges, Maxwell I. Gold and Lee Murray, and we're going to be reading all those now. So super exciting. The Haunted Library. I read all these this morning. The HWA is doing a really cool thing where they're reprinting some of these classic horror books that may not really get a lot of notice or anything. And they're all free domain. The money goes to the HWA to support them. But these are some really good reprints. I have one, and I can't remember which one it was. I feel like it was a Sherlock Holmes one. And I haven't gotten to read it yet. It is in my enormous to-be-read pile. But these are super cool, and I'm going to try to get all of these. The Sears Table is always one of my favorites. Linda D. Addison, I believe, puts this all together for the Diverse Works Inclusion Committee. So this is the authors of diversity, authors of color that they go and they search out and they introduce them. So this is always a super cool column This is Linda's pick, Linda Addison's Adrian Ernesto Capita. And so this is a really good place. If you, people ask me all the time, you know, who should I be reading, you know, or who's writing diverse works out here? Go to your HWA newsletter and read the Sears column, and you will find out all the latest, greatest. So I love this column. And what else did we have in here? There's like so much packed in here. You could actually just read on this for a month. This is a cool one. It's the HWA events. This is where I know, like right now, there's not a lot going on because of Stokers and we've all been locked down. But when you have a book signing or anything, you send it here. Free publicity for HWA members. There's a lot of the chapter information, which I'm not going to go through because that's for the particular chapters, including like we've got Canadian chapters, we've got Australian and New Zealand chapters. Fiendish Endeavors is a cool one, which talks about the different things that people are coming out with. So, more free publicity for HWA members. So don't forget to do that. You could actually just go through here and write down the different things, put it on your press release list because you have one, and be getting so much free publicity. So we've got the calendar of readings and signings. This is more free publicity for HWA members. So, and it's also a way to keep up because I was like, I didn't know that Jonathan Mayberry was interviewing Tori Eldridge about her new book, Dance Among the Flames. But that's really cool because I'm getting ready to pick up a copy of that at the Bram Stokers at the StokerCon because it'll kind of be like a pre-release. Here's another one of my favorite columns, Blood and Spades, which is put together by Marge Simon, also an amazing friend of mine. And when I saw this one, I got super excited because that's Anton Kanker, who is another friend of mine. And I say this in the most complimentary way, just such a funny weirdo. I love Anton. And we are actually in a book together right now. If you watched any of the stuff going on from poetry like 2 years ago or a year ago, we were doing haiku for an open mic, and that was where it's haiku written about poop. And so Anton got a few of us together and we did a book about haiku, a whole book of this poop. But yeah, it's really funny, but it's also really good. There's a lot of things to say about poop, which is probably why we're all so obsessed with it. So I thought that was super cool that he is the Blood and Spades poet for this month. So good. Congratulations, Anton. And Recently Born of Horrific Minds. This is a good column. Again, it kind of tells you what's coming out, what's the new book, and free publicity for you as a Horror Writers Association member. We've got Brain Matter by J.G. Faraday, who's always good. I loved his column. I mean, I always love his column, but this one was especially good. He talks about some of the new challenges he's doing, which is pitching a book, like pitching novels, because he's always had his publisher, but the new work that he's doing doesn't fit in with his regular publisher's lineup. So he's going to be right there with everybody else pitching books, which is kind of cool because he gives his insight on it. So I thought that was super cool. Well done on that. What else super impressed me? The Grumpy Grammarian was hilarious. I was laughing so hard at this when I was reading it. And I skimmed this. We just get this on the first. And so I haven't gotten to read like every word of this, of all of these, because I wanted to make sure I could do a review of it. So I've read everything, but I've skimmed it. But it's definitely worth picking over and like enjoying. This one was my favorite. He finds grammatical mistakes and comments on it, and it is hilarious. This one had me reeling in a Tittle Press article. Where is it? Where's the quote? Oh, yeah. The socialist left are wreaking havoc on our nation at a record speed. And I just thought it was funny because he says, reeling havoc? Is that when you unspool a chaotic movie? Or when you fish in a destructive, haphazard way? Because it's wreaking havoc. So I thought that was really funny. And I liked that he pointed out that it's not Reek, as in like it smells bad. It's Wreak. But that might be the editor in me that's getting way too tickled with this. But I thought this was hilarious. So super good job on this. The grumpy grammarian, Anthony Ambrosio. Well done. Love that. What else was on here? So much. Oh, the authors for the May KGB are announced in here, which I actually didn't know that. Fantastic Fiction at KGB Bar in New York City. I have not gotten to go yet. I was almost going to go a couple years ago. I was in New York for a radio show, and I don't have my stuff around me so that I can remember what the Hour of the Wolf. It was Hour of the Wolf. And I was going to go to the Fantastic Fiction readings at KGB because they are legendary. I've heard so much about them. And I ran out of time and I couldn't go. But this month, it's going to be Grady Hendrix, which would be super cool to read, to listen to him read in person, and Alex Irving. So if you're in the New York area, this is a super cool event to go to. And I hope to do that this summer. I hope to do some traveling again. In fact, I'm finally getting a car after like a year or two because we didn't need it during the pandemic. Exercising my rights. Geez, I wonder who writes this column. That would be me. This month I cover the language of flowers because working on a different thing that required a lot of research about flowers. So I just jumped right off that research. One of the wonderful things about being a writer is nothing's wasted. Jumped off that research, and then I wrote about the language of flowers and how you could use that in your work for foreshadowing, all sorts of things. So like each, and I'm sure you probably are familiar with this, but the flowers, and hello everybody who's here. Thank you for coming. Sorry, I wasn't watching chat. I was looking at the newsletter. The language of flowers, the different flowers mean something. So the way you put together a bouquet is a whole message to somebody. And whether it depends on if you tie the bouquet ribbon on the right or the left means it's for you or for me. And, just different things like that. If the flowers are wilted, that means something. So I thought, how fun would it be to have, like, say, a murder? Like some guy gives a girl a bouquet and she's like, weirded out by who is the stalker. And then she winds up, a body, and around her is this bouquet, like just kind of dropped and scattered. But only the detective that understood the language of flowers can solve the mystery because all the answers are in the blossoms. Anyways, these are the things I think about sometimes. I have not done that. You're welcome to do that if you want. I probably won't do that, but maybe now that I've said it. I am working on a Sherlock Holmes story at this moment. So that was my Exercise Your Rights column. I thought this one was really good. Notching interprets this, and it's all the different movies and things that are happening right now, the things to see, what's coming in on DVD, the video games, all the horror news, the horror around writing news, which was really good. And also for me, because I don't have a lot of time to watch movies or anything like that, but it's kind of cool. I can read this and then I can at least know what people are talking about. And so I don't have to look so clueless, which is normally my face. This is my face when you talk about movies. Yeah, I haven't seen that. So, and then this one was super cool by Donna K. Fitch. I didn't know. I've played D&D, and I've played, I won't say extensively, but I've played some D&D and I enjoy it. But again, it probably comes down to that time thing, why I don't do it more. But she talked about virtual tabletops, which I had never heard of, and she does a review. It kind of tells what they are and then does a review of them, which I thought was super interesting because A, I'd never heard of these things. B, then I asked my daughter, because her husband does gaming, if they use it, and they're like, oh yeah, they use Astral, and telling me all about it. And so I thought, oh, that was cool. My knowledge expanded. Entombed by my long boxes was pretty interesting, by Joe Borelli. Talking about, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to look at this comic because I'm getting super absorbed. Anyways, he's talking about graphic novels, and I think he talks about that every month. But he found this graphic novel. I was a huge Sandman graphic novel freak back in the 90s, still am. But this really reminds me a lot of that kind of styling and that kind of story. So I actually want to pick this graphic novel up and read it because it looks really good. And it's the super light. It is about a girl in a haunted house. I'm probably butchering this a little bit, but the ghost or the house falls in love with her and they have a relationship, and it looks delightfully creepy. So I'm going to actually get that after I finish this. This is my good reminder to make sure I go get that. It's a Strange World by J.D. Faraday again. That's another good column in here talking about different things. This was about April Fool's Day, which I thought was really cool because I didn't know all that. I know when I lived in Montreal, they do Poisson d'Avril, and they stick a paper fish on your back. And I had no idea why. But apparently, I mean, this is according to this article by JG. Apparently, that started because they changed New Year's used to be April 1st for spring, which kind of makes sense. And then they changed it to New Year's Day, the January 1st. And so anybody that forgot and was celebrating the new year in April was called a fool because you didn't know what's going on. And so they were the April Fools. And so the fish was like, you throw a hook and line and you reel them in. So that was where the fish thing came from, which super interesting. So I have learned so much by reading this newsletter. I just want to say it's definitely been worth it. The market report, a lot of times people are like, where can I send, what calls are out there? Where can I send information? Bada boom, right here, market report. This is who's paying what and all of this kind of stuff and the different information. And then finally, see, I'm rushing now because I see that I'm running out of time, or I've actually gone overtime. Welcome to the HWA. And it kind of talks about, well, not kind of, all the new members that have joined this last month, members that have returned, which I think is super cool. I didn't even know that until I started picking through the newsletter. And then this is the committee. It's Roni Stinger, Janine Cross, Francis Lou Pai Apolito, and Victoria Nations. And yeah, so you can ask them questions by sending a message to membership@horror.org, or if you just want to join and you want to ask questions, send it right there. But that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up the May Horror Writers Association newsletter. Again, I urge you to become a Horror Writers Association member if you have any kind of interest in dark fiction or horror, anything like that at all. Huge resource, as you can see. All of that is free to us once a month. And also to you that are watching that are Horror Writers Association members, make sure you're getting in here and using all this incredible free promotion. And guess what? Guilty. I have also not been taking advantage of all those awesome things until I decided to do these reviews of the newsletter, which has been really cool because I've learned so much and I've barely scratched the surface. Like I said, I kind of scanned it so that I could know what's in the newsletter, but there is quite a lot in there that I'm going to break down and read like deep into, like the Grumpy Grammarian. Hilarious. So that is it for today. I will be back tomorrow on this adventure, this daily adventure talking about words. And this morning I thought, there's probably a word for people who are obsessed with words. And I don't know about you, but I'm obsessed with words aesthetically, the way they look, the way they sound, like the audio version of words, as well as what they mean, actual words. So that is why this washi tape is words. That's what finally lured me into the washi tape craze. But yeah, so there's got to be a word for somebody like that. And I'm going to look it up and I'm going to find out. But if you want to see what is coming up throughout this week, I've already scheduled it. Off the top of my head, I know I'm doing a review of this book here by Dan B. Fierce, Roadkill King. I know I'm going to be talking about binaural beats, which is tomorrow, I believe. And binaural beats, if you have not tried those and you are not using those in your work, yeah, you gotta check these out. This is where I go free on Amazon, I mean free on YouTube. When I can't focus, I will just pop binaural beats in my ears. You have to listen to them in headphones, and I will be working, and I will get my whatever I'm assigned with done. So, but that will be for tomorrow. I'm going to try to keep these at 20 minutes or less. It's already 25 minutes, but there was a lot of stuff in the newsletter, so I suspect those will always be a bit longer. And other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope it's filled with words, and I hope you use your words wisely and well. And I will see you tomorrow.